The next guest came from one of the big Romanian university with a history in economics and business administration, the Babeș-Bolyai University. His name is Levente Szász, Vice Dean of Faculty of Economics and Business Administrations. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much for your invitation.
Thank you for your presence.
Can I share then my slides? Is that okay?
Let's start.
Okay. Let me. Just a second, and I think it should be visible now. Yes, I can see that it's okay. If someone can confirm this, it's even better.
It's okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very happy and honored to be here on this panel on retail. And you might probably ask, what is a university professor doing in a retail session? Well, let me then quickly explain myself in this aspect. First of all, during this pandemic, during COVID-19 in Romania, we have started and launched a research project, which is called COVID-19 Romanian Economic Impact Monitor. And I will tell you a little bit about this project. And within this project, naturally, we have also looked at different sectors of the economy. And given that, as it was mentioned also in the introduction by Mr. Bogdan Panait, it was a sector that was hugely affected by this pandemic. So, and in a positive sense, mostly in a positive sense. So I will show you some of the results we have been doing within our research project. But first of all, before going into the details of the online retail implications, let me tell you a couple of words about our research project. This is a team which works at the Babeș-Bolyai University. There are 6 researchers. All of them teach at our university, but we have one member from the National Bank of Romania and also from a university in the United Kingdom, Lancaster University. But all of them, we work together at the Babeș-Bolyai University, and we have put together a project which you can also check it out even during this discussion on the website. You can see on the screen, econ.ubbcluj.ro/coronavirus. This is a portal. This is an online portal where we basically offer access to information on all important aspects, at least what we think it is important, in terms of the pandemic and in terms of the Romanian economy. On one single website. And if you still remember 2020 with so many insecurities about how the pandemic will impact the economies all around the world, we have launched with this thought or this objective in our minds to offer access to credible and academically verified information on the impact of the pandemic on the economy. What is the main feature of this portal? We are working with it daily, so we update all the information, all the data which is appearing on this website on a daily basis, and we try to offer it in a way that is clearly understandable for all the whole population. I would say we have interactive infographics that talk to the visitor in 3 languages, and beside monitoring the current situations, we also make some forecasts, mainly economic forecasts in this current context, but also some forecasts regarding how the pandemic will evolve in Romania. But these forecasts are needed mainly for our economic forecast that can be found on this slide. On this site we have launched last year. And I will tell you, I will just show you quickly the main sections, what you can find on this portal. And then I will also turn to the part which is relevant for the online retail sector. So first of all, the portal starts with a dashboard. We have very simplistic approach. We have 12 plus 2 numbers, so altogether 14 numbers that describe and give you an overview about the Romanian economic situation and the pandemic-related situation in Romania as well. We have another section, which is related to the pandemic. And you can check there all necessary information, also on the level of Romanian cities and settlements, what's the current situation. And we also have a weekly forecast of how the daily cases will evolve in Romania, which again is important for the whole economy, not just the online retail sector. If we go on, we are also monitoring the global events, because we talk about the global pandemic, and which is also in Romania. So we also monitor the way people return to the normal way, or to the new normal way of living, which is again also a bit related to the online retail sector, how their shopping behavior is changing during this pandemic. Here we have we use the data provided by the Economist from the UK, and you can find all the details on the slide, including Romania in international comparison. Another section, I don't want to go into details. Here we have the forecasting tool on how the Romanian GDP will evolve, but also a heat map of all the important indicators, including indicators that are connected to the retail sector. And we are also monitoring the financial markets, stock markets, exchange rates, oil prices, interbank interest rates, and so on. And we also monitor precisely the real estate market, because that's also one that is directly impacting the population usually, and people are interested in what's happening on the real estate market. But by now you're probably asking yourselves, okay, but where's the online retail part here? So I will move on to the last part here. We have two sections on the portal which we could show that they have a direct impact on how online retail shopping evolves during the pandemic. The first one is governmental measures. So if lockdown policies or other restrictions are introduced by the government or local authorities, that will have an impact on retail and also online retail as well. Here we integrate the Oxford Government Stringency Index for Romania and for other countries as well, so you can follow that in a comparative manner. And the last section, which could be relevant, is related to the mobility of the Romanian population. And this mobility, here we use Google indicators, but this mobility is again related to how the online retail sector or online shopping behavior of the population evolves. So let's turn on to the second part. And well, we were asking ourselves, here you can see the monthly evolution of online retail shopping. So I mean sales in online retail from one month to the other in all the countries of the EU during the pandemic, or at least as much data as we have here. And you can see also Romania in the last row of these countries. And basically what you can see on these charts, you have a high volatility, and this is not just about seasonality, it's also about government interventions and the consumer behavior that can change radically during a pandemic situation. And yes, we were asking two questions. So how can we make sense of online retail shopping, or how can we explain the evolution of online retail shopping sales during a crisis situation like the pandemic? And our second question was, okay, what's the long-term implication of the pandemic in terms of online retail? As it was said also in the introduction, and my colleagues who are in this panel, there is a lot of potential in online retail in Romania, but also in the EU in general. So what we have done, and I don't want to go into the statistical details of our analysis, but we have connected two indicators: the residential mobility, so how much time people spend at home in residential areas, and also how stringent the government interventions are, and we have connected that to the evolution of online retail sales with a panel regression model. I don't want to go into the details of the model. I will just highlight the main parts. So we were interested, okay, what drives the change in online retail sales during a pandemic? And if you can check here, these are the general, usual variables that can explain on the long term how online retail evolves: GDP per capita, internet penetration, and so on. But during the pandemic, all these indicators are useless, actually, as also shown in this table. Everything that has these little stars here, those are the parts where we researchers are very happy, because there you can see a very strong relationship between the time spent by people at home and also between the stringency of government interventions and the evolution of online retail. So we have just offered quickly a statistical way of showing that during the pandemic, online retail companies might look at mobility indicators, which are now freely available, offered by Google, but also the government interventions, which again are measured, for example, by the Oxford Government Stringency Index. And these variables can explain, you can use these variables to predict or to explain how online retail sales will evolve in the near future. I will just quickly show you how the residential mobility, so again, time spent at home by the European population, and the evolution of online retail sales is connected during the pandemic. And you can see on the horizontal axis, you have the residential mobility. So how does it change from one month to the other? Do people spend more time at home? Then we are in this part on the right-hand side of the figure. And if people spend less time at home than in the previous month, then we are on the left-hand side of this chart, and the same for the vertical axis. So here we are in February last year. Basically, everything is somewhere around the 0 point. So no big changes in mobility, no big changes in online retail. But let me show you what happens when first the coronavirus appears in the EU and most of the EU countries. And some of the EU countries already impose lockdown policies. People spend significantly more time at home. And some of the countries and some of the population or the customers in these countries are increasing in a significant level the shopping the shopping via online retail channels. This is even more visible during April last year, where time spent at home increases, and the more time people spend at home, the more they use online channels to shop instead of offline or brick and mortar channels. But then it comes to May, people, governments, we think that the pandemic is kind of over because lockdown policies are eased. People go out from their homes, but their behavior does not really change. Some of them continue to spend more on online channels. Some of them decrease their spending on online retail channels. And I don't want to explain the whole story, but here you can see the same happens in June, July. July is the month when people return to traditional retail channels more, because all of the dots are in the lower part of this graph. August is kind of around the 0 point, September again. But what's interesting here is October and November, because then again we have the second wave. People again are forced to stay or are afraid of the pandemic and stay more at home. And again, almost all European countries, including Romania, increase their spending in online retail channels. And we have all the data. I'm not going to go into detail because of time limits, but you see some of the last dots we have here to July. We have data until July 2021. It's again, some of them return back during the summer to traditional retail channels, but some of the countries, again, still increase their spending on online retail channels. So basically, if we sum it up, we have a lure-in effect. So when people have to stay more at home, they spend significantly more on online retail channels. But even when they are spending more time outside their homes and they have the possibility to visit the shops, the traditional shops, there's still some lock-in effect. They still increase their spending on online retail channels because probably because they are already used to these online channels. But it's important to keep in mind that there's also a lure out or a phase out effect. After some time, after a couple of months, customers return to the traditional retail channels. At least the data shows this for the European Union. Okay, and my last slide, and I promise this is my last slide. So what can we say for the long-term evolution? So this up until now we have been focusing on the short-term evolution during the pandemic, but what can we say about the future of online retail? And probably all of the panel participants agree that this is a huge opportunity, and this was a huge opportunity for online retail. We have checked this with statistical methods. This is still a work in progress, but you can see on the charts, and I will color this table. Everywhere where you see a green color, that means there you can identify from a statistical point of view a level shift. That means we had already an increasing tendency of online retail before the pandemic. The pandemic has shifted this level to a higher level because people were either forced or they started to use online retail channels because they wanted to use online retail channels because they are safer than traditional channels during the pandemic. And where you see the green colors, it means that the growth tendency, the increasing tendency of online retail will continue in the future from a next level. So basically, the pandemic has given a boost to online retail growth, also for the long run as well. If you can, let's just focus on Romania. This is the official statistical data for Romania, evolution of online retail channel. And this is the green part we are talking about. This is a level shift. So we will continue probably this growth tendency from an entirely new level because new segments of customers have already tried out online retail channels and starting to use online retail channels. So it seems that we are in a crisis situation in terms of the pandemic, but for online retail, this is actually a blessing, or this is actually a positive evolution for most of the European countries, including Romania. And with that being said, and time being limited, I thank you very much for your attention. I'm looking forward to the discussions as well. But if you are interested in more information on this or other economic-related indicators, evolutions, you can visit our webpage. And also we have a Facebook page, COVID-19.roaim, Romanian Economic Impact Monitor. And we are happy to share any data or information you might need for your work at a company, at an agency, or at the governmental level. Thank you very much.